Welcome back to the Beyond Clean Expert Series. I'm Bobby Parker, and this is episode 4 of the Borescope Expert Series, where we bring some subject matter experts to you to talk about key considerations for having an effective Borescope program at your facility. So I've got Andy and Jenni with me here in studio today talking about the training portion of that, not just having the tool available at some workstation in your department, or even worse, locked away in the manager's office, but maybe it's in the right spot. But where do we go after that? So Jenni and Andy, thanks for, again, coming and joining me on the show. Could you walk us through what are some of those effective educational strategies, both for new and experienced staff? Andy, maybe why don't you get started about what you've seen that's been effective out there?
Yeah, a couple things definitely stick out on an effective program with a team that's really buzzing on Borescope. So first, I'd recommend, there's a great reference out there. HSPA and Ofsted put out a piece. It actually landed in AGIC back in 2023, early 2023. So it's called Improving Mastery and Retention, a pilot study on Borescope training and competency testing. Really neat work. I think it certainly is a great platform to even start and launch off of, but there's a lot of other resources out there as well. So second thing that sticks out, and then I'll get it over to Jenni, but I would say, designate a champion. Each group's got someone that's going to gravitate towards this type of technology with a Borescope. Get them in a position where they can, drive and champion the process alongside with you. So the last thing is these videos and pictures of the Borescope inside a Lumen. Great training and education tool to lean on. These pictures are worth more than 1,000 words. We're going to say that a lot of times with you through these podcasts. So it's true, and it's something that you could lean on. Jenni, how have you been tackling the training piece?
For me, it goes into my team engagement in that. So I want them to know that we're investing in them. They want to have perfect devices. Their names are on it. They're passionate about the work that they do. I want to give them the tools that they need to do their job. And that's a Borescope for internal channel and Lumen inspection. It's really quite simple.
That's awesome. And Andy, one of the things that you mentioned in having videos and pictures, we've referenced that in previous episodes, but just how valuable that is to have something to see and to train against. Like, what is the standard we're going for in a scope? What does a defect actually look like? There are definitely some tools that are helpful. But Jenni, you touched on something that we're very passionate about here at Beyond Clean, that training goes beyond signatures and competency sheets. It goes beyond just providing tools to people. It's really about developing a culture of quality in a department, developing technicians that care about the quality of their work, care about safety of patients, and care about their work being excellent. And when you can get to there, you almost find yourself with the opposite problem of maybe trying to constrain the quality to the most effective processes than like begging people to please use the Borescope. So can you share with me some of the things that you've done to try to help engage technicians and develop that kind of culture in your department?
Your words matter. Sterile processing technicians, we are patient safety champions, and those need to be synonymous. Like, that's what a sterile processing technician is. We are a patient safety champion. It's how I speak to them. They speak to each other. My leadership, the org sees them. They are being invested in. We're giving them the tools they need. There's so much more that it just feels something like we're investing in them. So when we got a height adjustable sink, or we brought in a Borescope, like leadership, and like, this is an investment in you because your job is important. So and just articulating how that work is at the center of patient care. The second kind of thing that we do is always make sure that they're at the table. If there is an event, it's not, this was an event, what's this happening? And I'm talking like compromised sterility event, or like, a positive scope culture. It's all safety events. Again, we see those as patient safety events, and your words matter and how those are. Like, we're part of that team. We need to be part of that process. Doing a 5 why with them, getting down to the root of maybe why they missed an inspection, why this was retained in there. Was it time and energy, training? Like, so we do a 5 why exercise, 5 times when you're asking them, you ask, why did that happen, to get down to the root cause? Was it time? Was it training? Was it a tool that they didn't have? was it a turnaround pressure? We've all experienced all of those, but really just the respect of asking those 5 whys and then really working on what that root cause was. And sometimes that's bringing in technology like a borescope. Well, I couldn't look inside, or this one was broken, or I didn't have it where I needed. So thinking again, that process about where you have that borescope in there, that's my responsibility as a leader, is to give them the time, training, and equipment so they can do the right thing every time that they want to do for every patient they touch. I think, as sterile processing technicians, every instrument we touch or device that we reprocess, we know that there's a patient on the other end of that. And that's just something core to who we are in this line of work. And so the borescope really gives you that opportunity to inspect the other 50% of that instrument and make sure you're not missing something just because you can't see it.
You're speaking our language, Jenni. I just want to rewind this and listen to that another time. Andy, anything that you want to add to that, just in terms of developing a culture of quality and safety around your Borescope program?
Yeah, Jenni hit on all the high points, because that's the stuff that really makes things drive. I would say, if specific to the process, consistent, repeatable, those are the things that always lead to, in my mind, quality, because you're set up for success that way. And when quality is at the focus, then safety always wins out. Yeah, we're not alone in this. So there are other stakeholders. So make sure that, Jenni does a great job of just making sure people know that this is not all on them. We're going to get tools in front of us to help make this happen, but there's also people that can help in this process. And it's a lot of steps, a lot of steps, and a lot of people that go into just making a patient-ready device. So let's make sure every stakeholder is kind of looped in. And if that borescope can be part of the process to provide the visual, a lot of people can rally around that visual to make sure, we're changing.
Yeah, and I think that visual can be really powerful at starting to win over some of those technicians. I really like that approach, Jenni, of trying to empower the front line to be a part of the discussion, make sure they're at the table, they're part of that 5Y retroactive QA look at events and things like that. And sharing some of those findings, sharing some of those images with people can really start to wake them up. And so this question, I guess, is related to that one. Do you have any particular strategies for overcoming resistance or skepticism, either at the technician level or maybe with other key stakeholders, Andy?
Yeah, so we've talked about this in the past as well. Statistics are pretty surprising and certainly in favor of more visual inspection. So in my mind, it really doesn't seem prudent to kind of sit on this fence of just assuming that all of our devices in our department are perfect and pristine every time. So my initial thing in overcoming that is try out a borescope. If you don't have one, get a rep in to help kind of take a peek and just see what the condition of certain devices are in the department. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. So Jenni, what about you?
The picture is worth 1,000 words, but don't underestimate the power of your other data. What is your surgery? And again, this goes into your stakeholders. What are your surgical site infection rates? What's the root cause of some of those? Are they things that could be pointing to sterile processing? Your compromised sterility event. Do you know what your rate is to the operating room? And of any of those, was it stuff that a borescope could have impacted? If it's something in a lumen that came out when they put in the stylet, or you know what I mean? Like that has a lot of power. Your cleaning verification, your pass fail rates on whatever you're doing for some of that verification of the manual clean, your scope culture surveillance rates, and then to your damage, what you're seeing and where that's happening and how quick you're discovering it. So don't underestimate that data, all the data. As far as speaking specifically about resistance, in my experience, resistance can come from a couple of different areas. So one, it can come from stakeholders. So the people above CSD leadership, upper level management, and really some of your partners, infection prevention, risk management, so that's where I think, the data is important, that guideline language, like what's in that guideline and what does it say? And is it a should or a must or a could? They need to know those details. They're also ones that would look at some of that ROI I talked about in a past one, how that's going to impact and how it's impacting them, and that organizational risk. The second area I think you could see resistance from is from your direct care team. So like your endoscopy, the direct patient care team. So endoscopy leadership, surgical leadership, and a lot of that for me has been around reprocessing time, device downtime, things that are going to impact their operations, especially more so from the standpoint of physicians. So don't underestimate the power of those physicians at that table. That group really looks at, again, the data, but they love research and evidence-based practice. So what is the research saying? What are the guidelines saying? Those guidelines, it's an international standards group if you're looking at AAMI. So what research are they looking at? That it's not just one person, one entity making that decision. It really is research and evidence-based. That will hold a lot of weight with them. And then again, you show them the data. It's not going to impact their turnaround times, but it's going to impact the amount they have contaminated events on their operating room. I would say your third area is going to be from your reprocessing team. That's where that resistance is going to be. And a lot of time they're worried about time. They don't want to take time. They're already working. They're overstaffed, understaffed, over whatever that is for them. Time seems to be the main thing. It's not that they don't want to do the right thing. Again, everybody wants to do the right thing, but it's that time piece. So that's where bringing one in, showing them how quick it is. We talked about that at the previous podcast. Just getting them engaged in that is really going to turn that around for you.
Jenni, you said a lot. So go back and watch that at 0.5 speed and take some notes, because all that was really, really good. And just to summarize that, effective training doesn't look the same in every single department, right? There are different forms of resistance you're going to find from different groups. So really insightful. Andy, I want to give you the last word, because I know you have some thoughts about training and effective training being assisted by AI, and just kind of what are some of the things that are maybe coming down the pike that can help us in that realm.
Yeah. Well, I think one big message that comes through is, no one's alone in this process, right? Industry is also changing. We're changing on our side. OEM manufacturers are changing. People are recognizing, what these challenges are to reprocess reusable devices. So don't feel alone. AI certainly is a buzzword going on right now. There's image recognition that's possible, and obviously a borescope is a camera. So be on the lookout. There's solutions that are there now. There's other software solutions that can help in this process, making things consistent, repeatable, train staff up, and all in an effort to make more patient-ready devices on a consistent basis.
I love that. Well, guys, that's going to do it for our discussion on training. Next time we get together, I want to talk about what do we do whenever we start to find issues in our borescope. It's like the end of the Finding Nemo movie. Like, okay, we have problems. Like, what now? What's next? So looking forward to that conversation coming up. Thank you for joining us in watching this Borescope Expert Series. This is part of a series, so I would encourage you to go check out the other videos from the series with Andy and Jenni. And if you have any other Borescope related questions that you want to engage them about, you can find their contact information in the video description below. And until we see you next time, I will challenge you, as we always do here at Beyond Clean, keep fighting dirty.